Thanks for staying with us. And Bill O'Reilly in the Factor Investigation segment tonight, releasing nonviolent offenders from prison. Last week, President Obama told 46 convicted felons, some of whom serving life, they would soon be free. The president did this after telling the nation the men were nonviolent offenders whose sentences did not fit the crime. Apparently, Mr. Obama believes the justice system is biased against minority individuals, especially in drug cases. And that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. I firmly believe that selling hard drugs is a violent crime. Those drugs have killed millions of Americans and enslaved tens of millions over the years. 70% of all child abuse and neglect caused by parents who are substance abusers. Anyone who sells poison is harming other human beings. Enter 42-year-old Marlon McNeely, sentenced to life in prison in 1993 for being involved in a major crack cocaine ring that terrorized the west coast of Florida for years. McNeely's grandfather, Robert Wonder Man Lee, started the drug cartel. He died in prison while also serving life. The crack operation took in millions of dollars a month and harmed thousands of people. Yet McNeely is being classified as a nonviolent offender by the president and will soon be released after serving 22 years in prison. Again, the man sold hard drugs for money, and the poison he pushed harmed and killed people. So should we feel compassion for Marlon McNeely? You make the call. And that's a memo. Now, last week I spoke with two very experienced attorneys on the subject of President Obama's pardons. Amy Marion, civil rights attorney whose brother is currently in prison, and Shannon Gessling, executive director of the Southeastern Legal Foundation. Why do you think, Ms. Gessling, President Obama sees Marlon McNeely as nonviolent? Why?
I couldn't possibly fathom how the president sees McNeely as nonviolent. They brought crack cocaine to Southwest Florida in the 80s. They are the reason that there is addiction and violence with crack cocaine and cocaine in St. Petersburg area. His grandfather went to prison for life. The next person in line went to prison for life. These people created violence in communities. They've destroyed entire communities. So I can't understand how any person, including the President of the United States, could see this as nonviolent. It's the opposite of justice. It is justice uprooted.
Ms. Marion, the reason I mentioned your brother was to inform the audience that you have personal experience with incarceration. Your brother was not a trafficker, correct? He didn't deal.
That's correct.
Right. He just got caught up in some situation. Now, Ms. Gessling makes a very compelling case that a guy like McNeely, a drug kingpin, has harmed thousands of people. And yet he's letting him out, saying he's a nonviolent offender, and the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Do you agree with that?
I think the dialogue that the president is using is incorrect. When the president said, these people deserve second chances, and when he says that these individuals are nonviolent, the legislation and the penal law takes into account whether or not individuals have violent pasts, and that is actually used in commuting or in calculating sentences.
But he made a determination himself that McNeely should get out. McNeely's currently serving life. He's going to be out in November, okay? Yes. But in describing it to the American people, the President of the United States looked us in the eye and said he's a nonviolent offender. His punishment doesn't fit the crime. Do you agree with that?
I agree in the fact that the crime is a nonviolent crime.
Really? If his organization is killing people, all right? I mean, killing people. He has enforcers. You know how it works, all right? They fight for turf. Somebody doesn't pay. They kill it. That's nonviolent?
You indict individuals for that. That's why when you have the mafia, when you have RICO crimes.
No. This man admitted being a leader of this organization, which did these things. So you're saying he's nonviolent?
He wasn't tried and convicted.
All right, so you're going on a conviction.
Well, we live in a democracy. We don't live in a demagogue. Don't you want the individuals to be charged and tried?
It's not about that. It's about the president making a decision and trying to sell it in a dishonest way. Ms. Gessling, look. Ms. Marion is right in the sense that this guy was not convicted, McNeely, of any violent offense like homicide or manslaughter. But we all know that he oversaw an operation that was violent and that his product caused violence. But President Obama will not accept that as a violent offense, and it just drives me nuts.
He doesn't. don't think anybody has a choice of whether to accept it or not accept it. I understood your point about changing the practices of sentencing, and maybe there needs to be reform. But this isn't about reform. This is about the President of the United States being judge and jury after a judge and after a jury have made a decision, and how the law is written
But that's
about
his
sentencing.
right. He can do that. He has the power to do it.
I understand, but he should be truthful with the American people
listen, that's my
about
beef.
who these people are.
These aren't
You gotta be
potheads
truthful.
who were picked up in
Thank you.
Mississippi with a blunt in their glove compartment. These are terrible,
right. They're
evil
not.
people who the president's trying to engender sympathy for, and that's my beef.
And
I don't feel sorry for
That's
this
exactly
McNeely.
right.
He should never see the light of
Nobody
day.
should feel
Wait,
sorry for
let Miss
McNeely.
Marion wrap it up. Go.
I have to tell you, Bill, I really do understand your beef, and I think what the president has done is given you the talking points for the beef, because I agree with you in that McNeely is not the poster child that we want for
Yeah,
sentencing
isn't there
reform.
anybody else can get pardoned?
Exactly, for
Right.
sentencing reform and guideline. And
That's
I
right.
absolutely agree with you on that.
I'm glad, because this dishonesty has to stop. Has to stop. And the president should next week say, you know what? I didn't describe this guy correctly. He is a violent offender. Good debate, ladies. I appreciate it very much.